All right. I see Larry Krasner. All right, this is the man of the hour. Okay, we cannot procrastinate now. Thank you. All right, so it's good to see you. So, thank you, Pat and Carolyn. We're going to introduce Larry Krasner, and he's going to speak for at least 5 minutes, and then you all have the opportunity to ask questions from the floor. Now, he's looking cool and smooth over there. You can handle these women in here. God bless you. So anyway, because I'm nervous as all of it. So you got this. You got it, right? Nice to meet you. No problem. All right, everyone. Larry Krasner.
Thank you. I'm not sure I deserve all that, but I appreciate it. Thank you. So 5 minutes. What are we going to talk about? Is this better? Yeah. All right, you can hear that? Okay. So there's a lot to talk about. I'm looking forward to your questions. Let me just talk about a couple things, though. Some of you may know that I spent my career as a criminal defense attorney and as a civil rights lawyer. I did not spend my career as a prosecutor. Although I know a lot of good prosecutors, I did not spend my career in government, although I know some good people in government, and some bad ones. So I came from a different approach. You know, my career has been spent defending all kinds of people, individuals who were charged with crimes, some of them serious, some of them not so serious, some of those people were innocent, some of them were guilty. But I've also spent a lot of time representing people from certain groups, starting with ACT UP a very long time ago, when the HIV/AIDS crisis kicked off, and then Prevention Point, when they were trying to give out clean needles and they were threatened with arrest by the Pennsylvania Attorney General because he said it was a drug paraphernalia violation, even though they were saving lives and stopping the spread of disease. Represented so many others, clergy, trying to end gun violence, who of course got arrested rather than thanked for trying to shut down a dirty gun shop. And represented protesters during the Republican convention in 2000. 420 of them were arrested, many charged with felonies, and I mean like 13 felonies. Some of them had $1 million bails, $500,000 bails, because Lynn Abraham's idea of free speech is that it shouldn't exist. And that representation went on for 4 years. I was by no means the only attorney to do it, but there were 4 or 5 of us who really took the lead, and we did those cases for 4 years, mostly for free, and we won 99% of those cases. The list is really too long. Kensington Welfare Rights Union, fighting for homeless people, who else? Occupy Philly, the few people who were arrested in the Republican convention, goes on and on. But basically all of the people I really respect from the activist community, from the organizer community, one time or another, they have come through the doors needing representation for trying to make the world better and trying to do so without violence and trying to do so by speaking out on things that mattered, and I've represented them during that time. So I come to this from a slightly different perspective than Frank Rizzo. I like that hiss, that was great. I come to it from a different perspective, which is that I really do believe in the Constitution. I really do believe that there should be equal treatment for people. I really do believe that racial bias has no place, that treating women differently has no place, that the whole thing should be as even-handed as it possibly can, that we need to move away from putting more people in jail, because that's the only thing happened in my 30 years. In my 30 years, the number of people in jail in Pennsylvania has increased 700%, and the number of people in jail nationally has increased 500%. Philadelphia has become the most highly incarcerated of the 10 largest cities in the U.S., also the poorest of the 10 largest cities, about the 3rd worst for infant mortality, and among the very worst, despite our excellent teachers, for public education. So this is not a coincidence. These things all go together. You know, you want to have a bad economy, lock up all your young men, make them felons, and then say you want to employ them. You want to have more crime, destroy your educational system. You want to destroy your educational system, spend all your money on jail. I mean, these things are all interrelated, and we have to get away from that, and we have to move towards where medicine went a long time ago, which is you try to prevent disease. You don't deal with it after it's there because you ignored it. Well, you try to prevent crime. You don't just deal with crime after it's there because you made it. And I think that is the essence of what we're trying to talk about in this campaign, which I like to think of as a movement, because I really do think it's a movement. It's not just happening in Philly. It has already happened recently in Brooklyn. They have a very progressive DA up there. Orlando, Florida, where Aramis Ayala was elected and she stood up to the death penalty. It's happening in Chicago with Kim Foxx, who is running a giant 1,200 person office that actually deals with about 5 million in population. I mean, these are huge offices, but we are seeing progressive DAs in big cities, also in smaller ones like Corpus Christi, Texas, where Mark Gonzalez, a career young man, but a career criminal defense attorney, was elected, even though he has tattooed on his chest the words "not guilty." You're seeing changes. You're seeing a public that realizes, even on the right and on the left, they realize that we can't just lock everybody up forever. You know, that the dream of too many people sitting in the DA's office right now, that they will look out the window and see absolutely no one on the sidewalk because they're all locked up, is something that we can't afford. It's not good for anybody. I mean, I'm not kidding. There's a couple people there who are upset anybody's walking around. They really are that nutty. So, you know, we have to go a different direction. We got to go a direction where we stop spending all the money up on State Road. We stop spending all the money statewide on keeping people in custody. We bring balance back to that. And we spend that money on the things that work. We spend it on public education. We spend it on drug treatment for people who are addicted, instead of spending it on putting people who are suffering from addiction in jail. We spend it on developing infrastructure, developing job opportunities. We spend it on job training. I mean, look, I've been doing this 30 years. I've had probably tens, but at least 10,000 clients. I am aware of the role that addiction and poverty and poor education, and above all else, the hopelessness that comes with all of that, plays in getting a 16-year-old to pick up a gun when guns are all around. I'm aware of that. And so, I don't know, I could go on and on. But bottom line is, it is my belief that we really need to go a different direction. I don't say that because I've read about it. I don't say that because I thought about it. I say that because for 4 to 5 days a week for 30 years, I have been in criminal court, because I have spent more than a year of my life, during the day, not at night, but more than a year of my life in jails, visiting people, talking to them about their lives in a way that prosecutors aren't even allowed to do. And so I know a couple things. And I've also spent plenty of time talking to cops and representing their kids. I have seen this thing in 3 dimensions, the way a lot of you have seen it in 3 dimensions. I bet there are people in this room who have law enforcement in the family, someone who's done time either in the family or among your friends, and someone else who's either been killed or has been the victim of a serious crime. And that's one of the amazing things about Philly. It's one of the reasons the jurors are so good, because they actually see this issue in 3 dimensions. They have compassion for the position of everyone in this whole thing. And more and more and more in Philly and in other places, people are coming to understand that we cannot arrest our way out of the problems we have. In fact, arresting our way out of it has just made it worse. It's not just that it fails to stop crime. It's that a lot of these tactics cause crime, and they cause us to be unable to solve homicides and so on. So anyway, those are a couple of my thoughts, but I'm here to answer questions, and I understand there are some questions prepared. Should we move on to that?